Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, go straight into it. I want to apologise with the slight delay to the broadcast there. We did eventually get it up and running. We've found the root cause of all the problems now. So hopefully things will run smoothly from here. But welcome back to Friday Night TCR Racing once again on the SRL YouTube channel. Today we're at the Detroit Grand Prix track, and a fantastic track it is, with plenty of straights and plenty of areas for carnage to be caused as well. What we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into the points. So looking at the pros points are as follows. On your screens in front of you, Adam Delmont still leads the way on 352, then Will Lyon just behind him on 304, Kim-Andre Bjorklund on 225, that's your podium sitters right now. Then fourth we have Arthur Thurtle, Andrew Lovesey, Mark Draper, both have moved up. John Brown has moved down a position, then Paddy Faulkner is up one position as well. Dan Miles stays where he is in P9, and Pete Newman goes down to the bottom of P10. Now going into the Pro-Ams, we do have Neil Stevenson leading the way on 247. Michael Toysha has gone up to 226, Stephen Fry down to 216. They're the top three as it stands. And Deck Crowther, Craig Walters, Fraser Garrity, Connor Pearson, Stuart Gibbons, Alan McCain, Cooper Akers, Fraser Elphick, Adam McNally and Wayne Douglas all there as well. Going into the AM points then, Kev Arlett still leads away, but only just in front of his league rival Chris Barnes, who's on 144 for Kev Arlett and 144 for Chris Barnes and 149 for Kev Arlett. So 5 points between those two. Anthony Hilton on 97, joint with Dan Lewis as well, so they're P3 joint there. And then going down we have Scott Malcolm, Rob Williams, JB Deju, Paul Hurley, Ricardo Neto, Carl Fleet, Hilton Nicholson, Andy Littler, Frank Cinchetti and Nick Kent as well. So that is your standings there. You can see we're in the latter stages of the qualifying, so I do apologise that we weren't able to bring you most of that. But without further ado, let me bring in our co-commentator for tonight as well. Mr. Luke, welcome in. How are we doing, sir?
Hello, yeah, it's been glad we got things figured out. We've been kind of passively watching this on the side. We're not really watching per se, but I suppose I've been more watching whilst Callum was troubleshooting. But hey, we're here now. We're glad that we can bring you the action on track here as we watch the kind of fittingly the Iron Brew car for Will Lyon race around. He's currently sitting second there. It's very close at the top and very close in the championship as well, kind of. So it'll be interesting to see how the standings are going to take shape kind of after these couple of races ahead tonight. And yeah, it's currently led by Arthur Thurtle with a 136.888, but very, very tight at the top anyway. It's like you could literally kind of sneeze and someone else will be in the lead or something at this point. And one thing I noticed last week that they hadn't previously picked up on is that the cars have the little LED numbers on the side that actually kind of update depending on which place they're in, in this case in qualifying, but as the race goes on too. So it's I'm not sure how I never noticed that before, but now it's kind of being seen. Now I've seen it, it's I'll try and take that into account more. That I've noticed it, I can be oh, that's cool actually. I kind of glad I noticed, but should have noticed sooner. But yeah.
Well, it certainly is a good feature on these TCRs, and that is your qualifying rounded up then. So let's have a little look at who starts first on the grid. So we have Arthur Thurtle leading the way at the moment in P1. Will Lyon just in behind that, then Pete Newman, Dan Mould, Wayne Douglas, Mark Draper, Neil Stevenson, John Brown, Paddy Faulkner, Andrew Lovesey. Then we've got Alan McCain and Connor Pearson on the next rows there as we wait for the grid. There we go, eventually moves. P13 we have Deck Crowther, then Kim-Andre Bjorklund, Cooper Akers, JB Deju and Stuart Gibbons, then Chris Barnes, Fraser Garrity, Kev Eilert, Dan Lewis, Fraser Elphick, Carl Fleet and Paul Hurley there. Then just at the back of the grid we have Hilton Nicholson as well. So all the drivers should be ready to rock and roll here any moment now. Here they are on the grid, and well,
testing the lights.
A lovely race we are in for here. As you can see, there is our leader, our P1 sitter, Mr. Arthur Thurtle. He'll be leading us off here in a few moments in Detroit, and he's going to have to put some mighty defensive work in to keep this lead, but there's no room for error around this track. Any slight misjudgment and it's going to cause some issues. But one thing to note just before the race does start, Adam McNally, Scott Malcolm and JB Deju have all moved class. Adam McNally down to Pro-Am, and then Scott Malcolm and Deju down to Am. As the red lights are up and we are underway. Alpha Turtle leads us off with a nice start there up against Will Lyon, but Will is going to have the inside line straight away, so he's going to try and tuck his nose up there, but I think Alpha Turtle does have a little bit too much speed for Will to even bother thinking about that kind of move that early on, and already we have someone hit the wall in the background there. I think it was Dan Mould.
Yeah, we had a second car get us there, two lucky escapes, I guess. They were able to carry on, but yeah, we're going to get some nice views around the streets of Detroit here, and it makes me think of the Canadian Grand Prix in a way. It's similar to that of being like surrounded by water, and we've got a big incident up ahead.
Massive incident. There's
it looks like everyone. Yeah, it looks like everyone got away unscathed there, though thankfully we didn't end up in a big pile up as we thought we were about to.
Yeah, it was a little bit of early chaos there for Dan Mould, who's unfortunately dropped down 11 positions now as it stands, and I think he possibly has a little bit of damage on the back of that car there. You've just seen Chris Barnes tap into the wall. He's on the outside, on the far right of your screen as you see it now. You can see there's damage on the front end of that Audi, just coming through into the first lap, so this is posing one of those interesting starts for this grid, as again you can see Dan Mould still going down the positions unfortunately now. And
at the very back, nearly.
Yeah, I think it's just Paddy Faulkner stopping him from being last at the moment. So
there was a kiss there.
he's being backed up big time as it stands right now. But Alpha Turtle does still lead the way out in front. A little bit of a gap between him and Will Lyon now, which is obviously a good thing for him, and he's got to do a pretty good job to keep Will behind, because Will does have some pace, but this is a new track for a good amount of drivers out there on course tonight, so it will be interesting to see what they can do in terms of posing the attack back once again. But you can see some of these long straights are going to come in clutch for some of these racers, as we do see a little bit of blinkage there from Alpha Turtle. And for anyone that's wondering what the blinkage is, that is just when the connection is a little weak between driver and race, so they suddenly disappear until it's fixed itself. But it only normally lasts about a second, but can be a scary thing if you're following that car ahead and it starts blinking. But for Will Lyon, he's going to try and not let that get to him. But we did just see, I think, Wayne Douglas going to the wall as well. Back in the background, you can see there is a little bit of scrape work on the left-hand side of that Audi by the looks of things, from what I can tell. But yeah, early door carnage, Luke. And, well, the wall's coming into play more than once already.
Yeah, I guess you're like, well, we see an even bigger gap here. You're talking about kind of opening up an important lead kind of thing. There's an even bigger gap here between what is Wayne Douglas and it was Pete Newman kind of. So this is, well, I was thinking, like, looking at the cars, I was thinking this was like somewhere else down the field, but of which he's just been overtaken by Mark Draper kind of in the other, the gold, black and white. But yeah, the breathing room is definitely going to be important around a street circle like this, where you don't have too much breathing space with all these enclosed walls, actually. So it's like you want as much space as you can, but at the same time, kind of you're going to be keeping an eye out for any overtaking opportunities. And I guess this is a track I'm not too familiar with myself either. Like I get the feeling I might have seen it somewhere before, but I'm not too familiar with it, so and admittedly didn't do my homework for this time round like I tried to do for last time round, but yeah, admittedly kind of haven't brushed up on the track for this time. I could always pull up a track map if need be for any corner names and things. And on a quick side note as well, I used to like the Penske kind of branding there. I'd only ever known Penske as like the IndyCar racing team. Like I'm sure they have more divisions too, but it's like I never even knew that it was like some trucking logistics management company kind of thing. Like I always just associated Penske with IndyCar, but not the fact that's actually that's like a sponsor or a main brand for something else completely different. So it was kind of like a, not quite today I learned, but recently I learned kind of moment in that case. Yeah, slight side tangent there, but that just kind of came to mind, popped into my head.
There's nothing wrong with slight tangents here on the SRL channel, not at all, as we see the Halfords car looking to try and make the move there on Neil Stevenson in the blue, black and white vehicle, but unfortunately that Halfords car that's now in a sandwich right now wasn't able to get the move done, and he's going to be on the defensive moves against Alan McCain, who's just back there in the iRace livery. And just behind that we'll have John Brown as well, so he's really got to be careful on where he treads now, and he's got to tread lightly in these battles, because obviously if you do too much in attack it could pay sort of quite highly for the cars behind and get them a position or two on you. So you've got to be extremely careful and make sure you're not doing anything too chaotic to cause any loss of positions.
It seems like Arthur Thurtle's definitely doing a good job of maintaining that lead. He's setting the purple splits kind of, I noticed there. I think he set a 137, which seems to be your fastest lap of the race so far, but anything could soon change, and you never know. Even someone like maybe like Dan at the back has 16 seconds of breathing space back there. Maybe he might find some speed, start catch up, maybe set some purple sectors. So anything's possible, whether you're first, whether you're in the middle of the field, whether you're last. You find yourself a nice bit of either breathing space, or even in this case, even a nice slipstream, a nice little kind of extra bit of speed down the straights can guarantee you kind of some like at least seconds of gain time anyway. And speaking of slipstream, it's looking like Will Leon here is getting a nice toe on Pete Newman, but alas, the corner came up kind of too fast.
He certainly did, and it's one of those tracks where you've got to try and make your move.
Currently sitting in 16th, is right on the tail of Derek Crowther in 15th, of course.
Yeah, he's
I want to see Fraser Garrity drop down the order, but nope, no major incident. Unless maybe he may have had a brush with the wall. He did seem to drop a few places. Looks to be going a little slow, but in fairness, that was a tight section of the track, so. But there was some position loss.
Yeah, I think he just missed his braking zone, unfortunately,
yeah,
and gone into the runoff there. But at the moment, Arthur Thurtle does set the quickest time of a 1 minute 37.698. So a really rapid lap for Mr. Thurtle. Let's look at John Brown, who's currently on the attack and closing the gap down to Alan McCain fairly quickly. Only 3 tenths between the two there. The Audi of John Brown and then Alan McCain in the Hyundai just in front. Not much room for error for either of these two drivers, who are going to be really close together probably for the majority of this race. And already 7 minutes have gone. Unfortunately, we have seen some incidents earlier on in the race, and hopefully those will now iron out and we won't see many more. But you never know with this track, because things are so tight, anything could happen. So it's going to be one of those situations where we're just going to have to wait and see what unfolds. You can see, I think Kim Andre Bilkland's having a bit of trouble there with the wall in the background. So just as we were saying, it's one of those things where this is going to be a common occurrence in this race, and just going to have to see what people can get done and what people can do against each other here. As you can see, Will is currently fighting in P3. He's trying to get up into that P2 spot to catch Arthur Thurtle, but the more these two battle, the further away Arthur gets. So they've really got to think carefully about how they're going to play this. Both cars, in fact, want to try and catch Arthur, and they're not going to do so if they're going to be side by side through any of these corners.
Indeed. We get some really nice camera shots through here, though, as to be said, and we certainly saw, I don't know if we'll be able to make use of it right now in particular, but I'm sure at some point during this broadcast we'll get the drone cam in action that we caught a glimpse of certainly before the broadcast. I got a sneak preview of that, and it looked, Will Leon just slight brush with the wall there. Yep, and there's the drone cam. It was maybe not too ideal in this particular situation, but it seems to be flying through the local neighbourhood or something here.
It does seem to be stuck behind all the trees at the moment. It doesn't really seem to want to go out and watch the racing, so to speak. So, yeah, I think we're going to give the drone a rest. For some reason, it doesn't want to work now.
Yeah, we'll maybe have to pick up on it again, like later in the race, or maybe find someone like elsewhere on the track, like somewhere less crowded. Might just be one of those things. We'll just have to kind of see where it works and see where it doesn't, and find the sweet spot somewhere in between. But it makes for a nice view when it does get a good view. In that case, we just saw some trees there, unfortunately, but hey, we can at least see the action back on track again from the standard kind of camera viewpoints along the way.
We certainly can, and
that was a little bit of smoke on the curb there.
I have just noticed one thing, and I think Pete Newman's had a bit of a situation up top, because he's dropped down beyond Will Lyon, and he's down by 1.5 seconds from him as well. So I think he's probably had a little bit of a connection with the wall that he wasn't intending on having. So a little bit of an unfortunate incident for him there very early on.
Yeah, it does seem to be weird. This is as we've been saying. This is one of those tracks where you want to drive carefully but drive fast. It's like you need to kind of see how fast, like how close you can get to the walls and how fast you can take some off the corners. And I suppose compared to, say, like a track like Monaco, for comparing like street circuits, this one, well, it's like I said, or I don't know if I said during the broadcast or beforehand, but this makes me think of the Circuit D, is it Gio Villeneuve of Canada?
Yes.
It kind of makes me think of that in a way, where it's a mix of like racetrack elements in there with the grass, the curbs, but then you also get like the street circuit kind of like tight-end wall sections too, which is more Monaco-esque in that sense. Well, I guess Monaco has more barriers than it does walls, but and technically I guess neither of those aforementioned tracks, other than Monaco, has a tunnel section, but this has a few archways over it, not quite a tunnel, but... And we did have a little bit of what looked like a nice drone kind of viewpoint there before, at least for a few seconds, but the trackside cameras are doing the main job today anyway.
They certainly are, and
the surrounded by water
that
as well.
was a hell of a move for John Brown there. Whether he missed the braking zone or he just went for the dive, I'm not too sure, but hell of a move, and unfortunately weren't able to make it stick, so he's back down into P9 again, and trying to catch up to Alan McCain once more. So yeah, unsure whether that was a missed braking point or that was an intentional attacking move, and a very attacking move at that as well.
Yeah, you can really see the brake disc glowing around here too. It's going to be one of those tracks that you're going to want to manage your brake temperatures, I reckon, because you're going to be slamming on those brakes like enough to stop the car in time for these walls and corners, but without causing a complete lock-up and or potentially rear-ending the car in front in the process. But yeah, managing both the tyre and the brake temperatures will be key around here to make sure you don't burn out in either way, and you're going to keep a smooth drive, because you want it to be as smooth as possible around the fine streets of Belle, as it is.
You certainly do indeed, and Chris Barnes is getting his foot down and trying to get the attack done on Hilton Nickinson, and it's not going to be an easy job at all around the circuit, as we've said a few times here. Obviously you guys can see at home how close things are in terms of the walls and in terms of the times as well between some of these cars, because when you really are up behind someone, you're up against it, and there is more contact with the wall there. That's what Andrew Lovesey just in the background. Chris Barnes does go to the inside, makes the move, gets the job done, moves right past and almost off into the distance on the same straight. Now, does Andrew go for the move? No, he looked like he was going to try and hold the inside, but I don't think he was anywhere near in the end. But Chris Barnes does move up indeed, so he's now P22 and no, sorry, P21. So he's not done too bad, to be fair. He's only down 3 positions from his starting position on the grid. So it's not too bad start at all.
And then that Martin Draper there got real close to the wall, like any closer and you'd even struggle to fit a piece of paper in that gap. But yeah, there was something I was going to say. It's like, you know, when you just lose that train of thought, it's just like, it's on the tip of your tongue, you know it's there. Oh, and that was super tight from Andrew Livesey around the outside as well. Quite impressive overtake, but he managed to find the gap and squeeze between it.
He did indeed. That was fantastic. I think thread the needle is the best term for that. And yeah, that was a good display there of good driving and racecraft as well. So fantastic work for him. And we do have just over 6 minutes remaining in this race then. So not long left whatsoever for these drivers to get the moves done that they wish to do. And Dan Lewis is one of those, trying to make the move on Carl Fleet and move up into P18 overall.
I can't help but notice Dan's display picture there. I wonder if that's the face he'll be making around some of these corners. with how close you are to the walls, the tyre wall sticking out there too. You'll be right on the edge, kind of. You'll be making all sorts of faces, the foos and ahs and as you approach.
He's doing a good job, and he seems to always looks excited as he is in his profile picture there around every track we go at. So I think he's just happy to be racing, to be honest.
True. But he's certainly right on the back as well of this cart. Trying to see on the side there. Oh yeah, he's right on the back of Carl Fleet in the iconic looking kind of Williams Cannon, kind of Honda Williams, like Nigel Mansell Williams looking livery, if you will.
And there is more contact with the wall there. You could hear the scrapes. Didn't see much bouncing from any of the cars. But speaking of bumps and scrapes, we're going to head up to the top of the tower, and that's the one thing that doesn't seem to be happening at all for any of these guys. Nice and clean around here so far. No damage on any of these vehicles as they come around the corner here. Here's Pete Newman, then Wayne Douglas, and Neil Stevenson just up the line, and you can see the train of cars just in behind him. But there is your leader, Mr. Arthur Thurtle. As you can see, he's it looked like the slightest bit of understeer around some of these corners, but nothing that he can't handle. He's managing to keep the car far enough away from the wall that there is no form of contact, even if there was some netcode issues between himself, Atul, and the racing session at any point. So he's handling that car really, really well at the moment. Now, here's where things could get hairy.
But, yeah. This is a close battle we suddenly jumped to here, though, in comparison.
It certainly is, and Deck Crowther's going to have to do some defensive work here. He's going to have attack on his mind, because he can see up the road Cooper Acres is just there, within touching distance. And, well, I can reveal this now. Cooper Acres is... no, sorry, not Cooper Acres. Derek Crowther is in the magic position right now for the reverse grid. Now, the reverse grid, obviously, we do have a random number generated before the broadcasts, and I am made aware of said number, and we reveal it during race 1 at some point. And now here is a time to bring it out, because this man right here, Deck Crowther, is currently in the P1 spot for the reverse grid. So as it stands, he'll be leading next race. So that's something to look out for and see whether he does decide to push up or just tries to hold his line and defend against Fraser Elphick. That's going to be the question, but obviously he is probably not very aware right now that he's currently sitting in that P1 reverse grid position.
Yep, it has to be said, we're the only ones, well, I guess, between us and anyone else that's in the know. If you know, you know. But yeah, Blade here, as I knew once back in the day, Derek Crowther, he is currently sitting in what will be a pole position for race 2, but yeah, currently in a close battle. That pole position could easily slip away here, because it's looking like... I thought we were going to see like a slight, like maybe a peek up the inside, but not quite yet, from Fraser Elphick there. He's certainly looking from side to side. I think Fraser, if Fraser knew about the pole, Fraser doesn't know about the pole either, but he's going to be taking that pole if any moment here, it seems. And I did notice before, by the way, it was a few months ago, I think Wayne Douglas set the fastest lap of the race so far. But I don't know, I admittedly didn't see if anyone set a fastest lap after that, but that caught my attention at the time anyway. So Wayne Douglas currently fastest lap, unless I'm unaware of any updates to that. But Fraser Elphick, on the other hand, he looked like he was going for a little lunge, not quite lunge, but a little look, maybe pre-planning a potential lunge, but he could be holding back, given anything's possible around here, either good or bad in that case.
Certainly are, and Hilton Nickinson is currently battling it out with Dan Mould here. I think Dan's just got the overtake and moved up a position. Yeah,
it does seem to be the case. Well, last we saw Dan was 16 seconds down the road, so it seems he's managed to catch up to Hilton here and actually get past. He's still technically 13 seconds behind the next car on track there, Paddy Falconer, but hey, it's, I guess, nice, clean, breathing space to get acquainted with the track and maybe at least be able to be a bit more familiarised. Well, I'm sure Dan's had plenty of practice, plenty of qualifying, but just to get a bit more acquainted, a bit more familiarised and ready to go for race 2 and to try and make up for what wasn't a great start to race 1, unfortunately.
Yeah, wasn't the best in the world. However, I'm sure that he'll be able to bring some form of comeback drive in race 2. We've seen it many times from Dan Mole before. He has that potential in him. Now the question is, can he release that potential in this race and bag himself a fantastic position? That will be the question on everyone's lips coming up into race 2, and that is what we are doing at the moment. We aren't far away from race 2. There is the track map as you can see it, and let's jump on board with your leader at the moment. Here we go.
Oh, and he has set the fastest lap of the race too, so he snatched it from Wayne Douglas. Oh, well, Pete Newman's actually snatched the fastest lap as they come round.
And this will be the final lap of the race, I believe, as well. So
Yep, it's just gone 20 minutes on the clock.
Thurtle is not far away from getting up behind what would be our first lap car of Hilton Nicholson. And there he is, just up the road there as you saw him. But there is your leader, Arthur Thurtle, brakes red hot, and coming on to the back straight now, which does have a couple of kinks in it. Nonetheless, we're still calling it a straight.
Yep, the on-board view certainly gives you the perspective of like we see this nice wide track, but then when you go on board, it makes it look like it's much thinner. Like you suddenly kind of like those walls look a lot closer. Like it's like when they when they say on the objects in the mirrors seem closer than they appear. This is like the version of that. Like the walls on the track seem much closer than they appear. Kind of when you're inside the car. Looks like there's plenty more breathing space around us from the outside perspective though in comparison, but you get a nice on-board kind of shot of this is like what the driver, well, just about driver's eye level of what they'll be seeing currently out there on the track.
Certainly will, and Arthur Thurtle now is coming up to round off his lap as he comes over the line. There he is, flashing his lights through the last kink. And across the line to take P1 overall. Will Lyon just in behind that in P2. A fantastic race for those two there. And as we wait for these cars to all come across the line and finish off their races. The last one to cross the line will be Dan Mould, but...
Yep. It looks like I'm not sure if something happened with Nicholson at the back there as well. It was plus 31, like there must have been a moment somewhere, because he was right behind Dan after the overtake, but seems to have completely dropped back like twice the distance Dan was behind. Who knows if maybe had a spin, had a moment with the wall, or just something or another, or maybe just damage might have slowed down.
Yeah, potentially. Oh, it looks like Chris
wow,
Barnes
that's a finish and a half.
Done at the line.
That's 4 cars, just one after the other. Yep, and here comes the last of the stragglers then down across the line, and evidently we're going to be waiting here a few moments extra for Hilton Nicholson, sorry. That's because I had Pete Newman in mind, with I guess Pete Newman retains the fastest lap it looks like in the end. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe there's extra bonus points for the fastest lap?
Yes, I believe there is,
yes.
And I believe it's per class as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, true, that's a good point.
So I think it's quickest lap for your class, not overall.
Yeah, like we get kind of the pink or purple highlight rather of the who set the fastest lap overall, but there will be a respective fastest lap with within each of the categories too.
Yes, yeah. Well, there we have it. That seals off race 1. What we'll do is we'll bring you your heat 1 results. And here they are as follows. Arthur Thurtle takes that P1 spot. Will Lyon in P2. Pete Newman P3. So that is your top podium there. Now, we go down to Wayne Douglas overall P4. However, he was on the podium as well because he's P1 for his class. Neil Stevenson P5 overall, but he finished P2 in his class. Then Mark Draper P6 overall. Then Connor Pearson getting the last podium spot for his class. Then Alan McCain, John Brown, Kim Andre Bjorklund. Then JB Deju getting his debut win in P11 overall. Then Kev Arlett's just behind that, P2 in his class, but P12 overall. Then we've got Cooper Akers, Deck Crowther, Fraser Elphick, Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Garrity, as the scroll wheel goes down further, and Carl Fleet gets that third podium position for the AMS, followed by Dan Lewis, Paul Hurley, Andrew Lovesey, Chris Barnes, Paddy Faulkner, Dan Mould, and Hilton Nicholson. So, fantastic race 1 overall then. Not bad quality whatsoever. We did have a few bumps and scrapes with the wall, don't get me wrong, but that was to be expected, to be honest. And around what is a very tight circuit and a very challenging circuit at that as well. It does bring some highlights and some joys, and I have to admit, I do really like the location of this track as well, being surrounded by a massive bed of water. Seems like a really scenic place to have some racing. So it's a fantastic destination. So
Yeah,
definitely
can
one
definitely
to put on
agree.
the bucket list, I think.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. I like the like on occasion we had a few shots of the fountain along the way too that we can see from this top down or aerial view rather. It's like a nice kind of adds to the overall scenery and the views, and yeah, it's just a really nice location overall here on the waters of Detroit in the Michigan kind of. I don't know if it is technically Lake Michigan, but it's in that it's definitely kind of in that neck of the woods anyway, kind of Detroit, Michigan, kind of Belle Isle Raceway, or Belle Isle kind of location anyway.
Yeah, it's certainly a nice looking track at that, and one that provides great racing. I imagine one set of cars that would be quite cool to watch around here would be the V8 supercars. They would be some good form of entertainment around here, or even the Porsche Cup. To be honest, I think the Porsche Cup around here
Yeah, true.
would be quite interesting series to see take to the streets of Detroit. And I'm not too
I
sure
guess
if
another
they.
series. Hope I'll let you continue, sorry.
That's all right. I was just going to say I'm not too sure if they actually have been here or not, because I have to admit I don't really follow those series in person too well. But I'm sure that they're thinking about it as I'm saying it.
Yeah, I loosely follow the Porsche Super Cup on TV, at least when it is broadcast. It's not always shown, but sometimes it is. But I'm not sure if I've actually seen them in America. Like, I could be completely mistaken, but it does seem like a missed opportunity, if not. Like, maybe they've been to, like Circuit of America, in fairness, but no, not any of the other, like, these more obscure tracks, I guess, that you might only hear through, perhaps, like IndyCar, for example. You'd probably, I believe, features this track in particular, but like when it comes to say Formula One or Porsche Super Cup, they tend to like go to like particularly same places. But you never know. It's like anything's like you never know if you might see like anything kind of like that out here one day. Another series that came to mind as well was a Ferrari Challenge series. I know they're more European based, but there's also like a Ferrari Challenge UK series as well. So it's like I reckon there could be a market for Ferrari Challenge US. Because then they could come to find tracks like this one at Belle Isle in Detroit.
They certainly could, and it's certainly going to be interesting race 2 of the reverse grid coming up, and well.
It looks like no one's taken to the track during the warm up
Yeah,
or cool down period in between as well.
Tense out there. Maybe people need to cool down a little bit.
People are getting the water bottles over their head or something right now, just cooling down after what was a heated race 1, but we're only seconds away from race 2 as the timer ticks down. There's an interesting, I just now noticed in the water, there's like more natural formations, at least looks more natural I suppose. Then like you have this river, then you have like a little, like a circular pond, almost like a perfect circle. I'm guessing that's a man-made section there, of course. You could probably slap the fountain in the middle of that and it would kind of match it pretty well.
It certainly would, and well, we're coming up to the end of the session there as we lead into the second race, and what we'll do is we will bring you your grid for this second race. And so Fraser Elphick got that P1 spot, then Deck Crowther P2, Cooper Akers, then Kev Eilert, JB Deju, Kim Andre Bjorklund, John Brown, Alan McCain, Connor Pearson, Mark Draper, Neil Stevenson. Then we have Wayne Douglas. Then going on from that, Pete Newman, Will Lyon, Alpha Thurtle, Stuart Gibbons, Fraser Garrity, Carl Fleet, Dan Lewis and Paul Hurley, Andrew Lovesey and Chris Barnes. Then Paddy Faulkner, Dan Mould and Hilton Nickinson back there, as well as we wait for these drivers to get underway. Any moment now they will do such a thing, and let's jump towards your leader. There are the lights going up. We have 5 red lights, and there we go. We are underway. Smoke there from the P2 car of Deck Crowther. However, still gets a fairly decent start. Is he able to solidify that P2 position? That's going to be the major question here against Cooper Akers, who is bouncing sort of fairly fresh off of some good results recently as well. He had that win earlier in the season. As you can see, the suspension being tested for all these touring cars as they come all bouncing through the straights. And
Dan is out.
Yeah, Dan is out early doors.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but it looks like his time in Belle has been short-lived. I mean, he got to carry on in race 1 bit at the back, but seems race 2 hasn't gone any better. It has gone from bad to worse, as the saying goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's
We
not
got another
been...
DNF, or is that a DNF pit for Andrew Lovesley as well, where the two potentially involved at the back? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's jumped back to the pits after an incident by the looks of things.
Yeah, whether separately or whether combined, we're not sure on that one, but just now noticing. But it seems everyone else has managed to keep things in line and check for now. Hope we see, I don't know who that was up ahead, just slightly brushed the wall there. the very purple wee bit multicoloured car. Yeah, not quite that one, the one like 2 cars ahead. Was it?
Oh, that'll be Cooper Acres.
Yeah, the Cooper Acres, yep. Yeah, it's like a purple camouflage looking design. Yeah, it looked like Cooper Acres, they had a slight brush with the wall. Oops, someone's, is it not Will Lyon, but the car next to him was certainly...
just behind that, yeah.
Yeah, Stevenson, yeah. He had a slight kiss with the wall there too. I think I thought that came to mind in the first race when he said it was like had something on the tip of my tongue, but I wasn't quite sure. The thought that came to mind was like, think we need to start keeping tabs on these guys of like how many times they've like contacted the wall, because yeah, there's certainly been a fair number of that already between race 1 and I guess certainly carrying over into race 2, but. It's a tight street track, although as I say tight, you're getting 3 wide down the back straight here.
Yeah, and these guys are going to be taking it to each other, that's for sure. As see Chris Barnes here trying to push his way up through the field. Dan Lewis just in front of that though in the SRL livery there, in both of which in the Audi. You can see just in front we have another Audi of Stuart Gibbons, who's trying to close down Fraser Garrity, but not close enough just yet. So I think he's going to have to worry more about defending than he is attacking as it stands right now. But Fraser Garrity just up the road, looking to make the move up on the inside. Has he got his nose just up alongside? No, he doesn't. Nope. So he has to sit back, and unfortunately that is going to bring Stuart Gibbons into play. And can Gibbo get the move done on Fraser Garrity and get past that Honda?
Yeah, perhaps playing it safe for now with that one, like he maybe thought better of it, but it did look like an overtaking opportunity was presenting itself. It seems the 2 cars behind kind of almost looking close as well, but shit, everyone at this point is going to be looking close, and then naturally they're just going to spread out further apart, but it seems there's not any major gaps like we saw in that first race. There was like a big gap to like, I think between 3rd and 4th, but so far everyone's kind of keeping it well, actually, we did see a gap back there. Actually, there's a bit of a gap in the midfield back there. It seems, but a bit of breathing space between some of them to collect their thoughts and make sure they have things in check for each of these corners. As we jump on board with, or not quite on board, but as we jump along with John Brown, they're getting alongside.
Yeah, he's trying to get the move done on JB Deju there in the purpley pink car just in front. That Hyundai with the great big capital N in the front air vent, the front grille there of that vehicle, and you can hear some of the cars scraping along the wall as they come through the corners. Yeah, we saw a bit of
puff of smoke as well there too.
Certainly going to be a tight and tense situation with these guys overtaking, being so close to the walls and everything. And someone that did make contact with the wall by the looks of it's Fraser Garrity, who's really slow going through that little section there.
TLT puff of smoke too on that one as we jumped on the viewpoint.
Chris Barnes is making some contact with the wall there on an overtake, so he manages to keep his momentum going, and the wall doesn't stop him. And once again, a little bit more contact. Now, the thing to remember with some of these cars is that they do possess a wide body kit on them, as you can see how far those arches do come out. So that's one thing that these drivers probably... you would think that they're used to, but in many of the tracks we go around in the TCRs, they don't have closed walled circuits like this. They're quite open. There's a bit of grass before you hit the wall, so you don't really have to worry too much about like your wheel arch being over the rumble strips or over the line, as opposed to your wheel or such. But here, anything slightly off and you're making some severe contact, which is going to impose your pace and speed throughout corners. So that's one thing that these guys now have to think about and worry about as they're racing around and trying to keep their positions and gain on those slower in front of them. As we look back towards here, and Arthur Turtle making his move up the grid, trying to get back to that P1 spot that he got in the first race. Can he do it again here? Is the comeback drive on? P11 overall. So, I mean, technically, the way I look at it is maybe that's like a prophecy for the future. He's number 11. That's 2-1. So can he get 2 P1 positions this evening, this session? I mean, it's got the potential. He's definitely got the skill to do it, so we'll see what happens there, as Will Lyons just made the move on Alan McCain and gone up into P12. So he's just behind Arthur Turtle. So as it stands, Arthur Turtle and Will Lyons, same order between those two as it was in race 1, with Will just on the back end of Arthur there, trying to clutch on and go around with him at the same pace, if not a slight bit quicker.
Yep, they're continuing what they started in race 1, although I guess Arthur Turtle rather, was able to build up a bigger gap and seems to be doing so in this race too. But Connor Pearson's looking like he's going to have some trouble from behind, but he's keeping things at bay for now. As we see Douglas and McCain kind of swapping places there in the midfield. And you get a nice view down the back straight here. Someone's going slow in the background there as well. I think someone must have brushed the ball. But otherwise, it looked like it must have been, Alan McCain there, I guess. It looked like we saw his car kind of moving a bit slow in the back of the field there, but he seems to be kind of picking up the pace again now and trying to recover from that lost momentum.
Yeah, and that is a tricky thing to do at this circuit when you lose momentum in these cars, because it's not easy to gain back when the track is more or less just longer straights and then a sudden sort of almost 90-degree corner every so often. So not the easiest of things to deal with, and unfortunately, we have lost another car of Chris Barnes, so he's now gone back to the pits as well, and Fraser Garrity making the well, I was going to say making the moves, but he's actually getting the move made on him. Dan Lewis has jumped up in front of him and moved up into P17. So Dan Lewis up 2 positions from his starting grid position. At the moment, though, the man to look out for is Mr. Arthur Turtle. Both him and Hilton Nickinson and Paddy Falconer all have the same amount of overtakes, which is +4 on the overtake counter. So all of those guys are doing a pretty damn good job. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the track map nice and early. We're also going to give you the battle box as well, so you can see who we're focusing on and the battle that they're currently in, as well as how many positions they've either gained or lost.
Yeah, there's quite a battle in the midfield brewing, no pun intended, with the Iron Brew car going around, but it's certainly brewing anyway, and we've got all sorts of overtakes going on here, two times two of 2 cars alongside each other, and a lot of glowing brake discs into the corner there too. It seems like it's gotten a bit darker in race 2 than it was in race 1, that we can certainly see the glow of the brake discs stand out more in the corners, and some of them were testing their lights to make sure the lights are working, but it's not a night race by any means. It's more just maybe a big cloud must have passed over, blocked out the sun, that we're seeing a bit of a darkened, at least a kind of shady kind of state in a sense, but there are some nice kind of sunny patches like along the back straight here. It really makes the colours of the cars and the nice liveries pop out. And it almost looked 3 wide there down the back straight too. But it seems everybody's keeping on each other's toes. Even Will Leon's right up the back of Arthur Turtle there too, keeping right on the back of this little, it's almost like a little train kind of that's forming here.
That certainly is, and there's like little groups and little trains all over the place now, as Paddy Falconer is also in amongst another battle here at the moment. He's currently sitting P19, and well, this is I was going to say this will be a close battle as these cars go in.
Is that another potential retirement?
Yeah, I think that probably will be a fairly quick retirement, unless there wasn't much damage from that vehicle on that collision. But that looked quite bad, to be fair. Almost a head-on collision.
Yep, out.
Yeah, the best thing to do for
Trees
those
are
situations is actually to hit the car very square on with the barriers, because that limits the damage to the cars. And,
Oh, jeez. Well, that was some good timing on that one. We just saw maybe 2, 3, 4 cars, like 2 ended up in the wall. They're dropping like flies here in this race too. Yep, there's another 2 immediate retirements. Yeah, we need a replay on that one. Yikes! That was a lunge. That was one of the lunges that you don't want to make there. Like I think that was a very optimistic lunge that just resulted in like 2, 3, 4 cars just collision. From Mark Draper, unfortunately, kind of. I think he was being a bit too optimistic, opportunic on that brave lunge that did not pay off at all, because now he's out of the race and took at least 2 or 3 other cars out with him. So I think the post-race room is going to be a bit heated right now.
I think it will be, and that's given Arthur Thurtle a chance to move up once more. He's now P7. Oh, just as I say
no,
that,
he's in the wall.
Spun.
Oh no.
Oh, look at the angle he's holding the wheel at as well.
Yes,
he's not able to keep that car in a straight line.
Yep,
That's
another
going to be his
unfortunate
race
retirement.
over.
From P1 to P out, unfortunately. So yeah, that was the actual replay of that, I guess. I don't know how far the tape winds back, but...
Here we go. So this is the moment that Arthur goes up on the inside. He's got the inside of the corner, gets nice and early on the accelerator, and boom, he's just unfortunately caught by Connor Pearson. Connor Pearson doesn't back out and just keeps going at the same speed. Unfortunately, it brings the 2 cars closer together and closer than what either driver would like, and inevitably puts Arthur Thurtle in the wall and slows Pearson down. So both drivers taking a bit of a hit for that situation, and there is Mr. Thurtle in the pits at the moment then. So unfortunate situation for those.
Yeah, it seems, I don't think we can blame either driver in that case. It seems like it's just put it down to race and incident, but maybe have to get the shooters to look on that one to see if somebody truly was at fault. Like, you could argue that maybe Arthur Thurtle might have closed the door a bit too soon, but at the same time, I guess, Connor Pearson had every right to be alongside, so the 2 were just racing after all, so either race incident, or if you think someone else was to blame, then yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those.
Unfortunate tool. That's another brush with the wall.
It's one of those situations that unfortunately happens fairly regularly, and it's just one of those racing situations that we just got to deal with. So
Indeed,
it's just one of those things.
It does bring us up to 6 retirements on the tally. I was talking about keeping tags on the amount of times we saw cars tapping the wall, but to this rate we're going to be keeping tags on how many cars are out of the race. Currently that stands at 6. But here's to hoping everyone else can keep it relatively clean. We're not asking for perfection out there, but at least hopefully we don't kind of see like a race end with half the amount of finishers or half the amount of finishers and starters, but we do have less than half the race to go. But actually we do have the extended 25-minute race for race 2 here, so I was thinking the 20-minute mark still, but no, it's 25 minutes, my mistake. So we do still have another 11 minutes of racing after what we've seen so far. Then anything possible, like we've still got a lot more to come.
We still do indeed, and one thing I can show you there at the top of the screen is your leaders for each class. So the person we're on board with at the moment, Kev Eiler, is leading the AMs at the moment, P4 overall, so he's not far off sitting on that podium spot, to be fair. He's got Cooper Akers just in front of him, so if he can get his foot down a little bit more and get in front of Akers, then he might be in for a double podium spot here, not only overall but in his class as well. Fraser Elphick obviously leads the race and leads the Pro-Am category, and then Mr. John Brown, who's currently sitting P5, does lead the pros as well there. So not too bad for those guys whatsoever. And let's just have a little look at the best times then. So you can see the time split between the pros, AMs and the Pro-Am. The AMs and the Pro-Am are more or less similar times, and then the Pro time is just a smidgen quicker. overall in front of those two. So there is differences in the classes, that's for sure, but nonetheless it's still a good entertaining thing to watch as John Brown currently under attack by Pete Newman. And I think Newman heard that I announced John Brown as the leader for the pro class and decided to get a little more, few more horses running through that engine, and powers on through by on the outside line, making it 3 wide. These guys on the exit there. Moorline with a heavily damaged front end is taking the battle to a heavily damaged rear end of John Brown. So that's is going to be an interesting battle, but it looks like Will's keeping on him and keeping him nice and true to his defensive duties there, and John's doing a good job so far at keeping him behind, but he is losing to Pete Newman in front. Pete Newman is getting away rather quickly, so this is going to be something that's going to be on John's mind, I imagine, is seeing that car off ahead going away into the distance. And after that was just popped up in the YouTube chat, me dead. Yeah, unfortunately we saw that, we witnessed that murder.
Yep.
And
we did indeed.
No, it was an unfortunate coming together of the two vehicles, but the angle we had wasn't the best really for looking at it, but it was unfortunately one of those situations where the cars were a little closer than what either driver would have imagined, and the inevitable happened of one car going in the wall and both cars slowing right down and moving down the grid. So unfortunate situation there for Mr. Thurtle and Mr. Pearson, I believe it was.
Yeah.
But Mr. Brown still leading the way for the pros. And in fact, no, he's not. Pete Newman is now, sorry. So yeah. Pete Newman leading the way for the pros now. So
we did see Will lie right on the tail of John Brown moments ago, but they seem to have sorted out the differences and given themselves some breather.
That does indeed, and well, Pete Newman is slowly closing on Kev Islet and Cooper Acres, so yes. If these two aren't careful, then they might get caught up and might lose that sort of podium spot between the two of them, and Pete Newman might run away with it here, because he is catching rather quickly, and
a lot of things have happened back there. I saw the times tumbling, but I didn't realise this would be the case. Is that John Brown and... was that McCain? Oh no. Oh wow. That's literal bumper cars there. It seems like the two have like bounced off each other, and it's just kind of concertina domino effect. One thing leads to like 4 others in this case.
Yeah, and unfortunately John Brown down now to P15.
That's a very damaged front.
Yeah, so there's a lot of contact in the second race. We don't have many races left on the track at this rate. So unfortunately, more cars do see the flag of doom, I think, is what we're going to call it, and more contact there too as well. Yeah, for Stuart Gibbons and Connor Pearson. So Connor Pearson in amongst it again with other cars. Unfortunately, some damage there. But yeah, Will Lyon has come into the pit lane. He is in there at the moment, and Connor Pearson does take that position away from Stuart Gibbons, and Paddy Faulkner just on the background of things there, looking to potentially pounce on any mistakes that these drivers ahead do make, and Will Lyon is now exiting the pit lane. Alan McCain is now into the pits as well. We do have 6 minutes left of this racing session before that closes night 2 here. Classic Dirty Will Lyon, says Daniel Dinsdale. What does everyone have against Will Lyon? I think he's a fantastic racer. Some quality stuff that we've seen this season. Yeah,
we've seen some nice drivers from Everett to feel it's an unfair comment, and I'm not even being biased for him being Scottish this time. We've seen some quality racing, as you say. I think he just got caught up in the heat of the moment there. As we've seen many drivers kind of fall victim to kind of being caught up in the heat of the moment if one too many brave dive bombs turned into, well, a literal bomb, as many cars end up in the wall. But so far, I guess for now at least, everyone seems to be keeping it be again, keeping to themselves. But we have this little racing group that we're following along with currently that you never know. we could be watching them have some nice clean racing for now, but fast forward a few minutes, might be in a wall. You head Belle.
Yeah, well, let's bring up one quick key thing, and it's this man on your screen at the moment, Mr. Paddy Faulkner. He is the man with the most overtakes here in this race. He's currently sitting on a plus 12 position gain, so he's done an absolutely fantastic job there at this race. And yeah, he's climbing up the grid in rapid fashion. So the longer this race goes on, surely the higher he's going to get.
Yeah,
let's jump up to the...
hopefully he can gain more places, as you say.
Let's jump up to the top of the tower. And Fraser Elphick and Dec Crowther are the two at the top of this chain. And they've just lapped Hilton Nickinson. And
that's the car we just saw, yeah.
Yeah, that was fairly quick getting by him as well, so it didn't slow either driver down. Now what Dec Crowther's going to be preying on is that some of these lapped cars do slow Fraser Elphick down, so he can cruise up and possibly take that position and into P1.
Yeah. The car in the background you just mentioned, the one that was lapped, is now out. We just saw Nickerson, I believe it was, just pull on to the escape road, kind of go straight back there at the chicane, and seems to have retired from the race. So whether there was any damage or just felt like that was kind of throwing the gloves kind of thing, like, not sure.
Yeah, an interesting situation nonetheless for him. And yeah, Dec Crowther's going to have to get his head in the game if he wants to get this overtake done in the next few minutes. And just as we jump on with Kev Eilert, he does brush the wall there, and look, once again, he's on the back of Cooper Akers. Yep. And just as we had said earlier, this man has taken advantage, got past both cars, and is in for P3 overall. So fantastic work from him. Let's see how it was done. He's up behind here of Kev Eilert. And Kev just lets him on by, and I think that's more of a tactical approach, because Kev knows that he is in the lead currently for his class. Now, does Cooper Akers do the same? That is going to be the question here. Let's see if we can find this overtake. Oh, there is a little bit of contact, not much, but Cooper wasn't giving it to him, just like Kev Eilert did. He wanted to actually put up a fight for it, and fight he did, and those two had a slight coming together, but nothing too major, nothing that will cause any serious damage for either car.
And now we see a big enough kind of, like, we went from seeing them right close together to now they're kind of like, I almost thought he was about to spin out there. The rear end looked the corner, but I think it was just the camera. Like, sometimes the trick of the camera, you see the car turn in and you think it's going around, but actually it's just going around the corner as it should be. Sometimes catches you in that moment. But yeah, they seem to have opened up some breathing room here anyway, as we jump back on board with Neil Stevenson, who also has some nice breathing room. Although we've put Paddy Faulkner up the inside of Paddy Faulkner. Yeah,
Paddy Faulkner. That was a nice little overtake there. I don't think Paddy Faulkner was too happy with it, but Stuart Gibbons does get round, and Paddy's gone to
a little touch.
Yeah, turn in. But the thing is, it doesn't look like the car's actually making any form of contact. I think that is a bit of
the... get back again, though.
I think that is
wait, this is still the replay.
Nick code. Yeah, cars didn't make full contact, but it's one of those things that iRacing deals you, unfortunately. But Stuart Gibbons does currently have that position above Paddy Faulkner, so Stuart Gibbons does move up into P10. Yeah, P10 overall. Yep. So a good, solid position for him. Leader is now coming around to finish off minute number 24. And we're going into what would be the last lap of the race now. So
last minutes.
if there's a time for Dec Crowther to really get some pace going and get by, it is now. But 1.5 seconds in one lap, I don't think it's going to be doable. Not around here, not with the pace of Fraser. It's not going to be an easy job. That car number 13 is probably going to come away with this race win, unless the racing commentator curse is in play here, which I highly doubt it. We've actually been quite nice this year with commentator curses, and there haven't been that many. But we're going on to the last lap now, I believe. So this is what it comes down to ultimately. There is Barney waving the white flag, so we can confirm this is the last lap. So Luke, not much time left now whatsoever.
Yeah, indeed, and even though we saw Dec get a not bad start per se, but we saw like that big kind of lock up on the, or not lock up, but like a big kind of wheel spin burner initial kind of getaway on the start. He seems to have done a good job to maintain that second, but I believe he's kind of settled for second down. It's like we saw that 1.5 seconds go down to 2.5 seconds now, so I think he's letting, well, not quite letting Fraser has this one. I think Fraser had it in the bag kind of from the get go, but yeah, they've both done a great job to maintain position anyway, and I believe we've seen some others kind of climb through the field, like we saw. It looks like Paul Hurley in DDG or GBDU were kind of going hand-bone each other there, but and we got Mr. Will Leon right on the Will line right on the back of that too.
Yeah, now we have Mr. Deju going up on the
there's the
inside
Deju.
and getting the move done. Brakes on fire as always, but a nice move.
They're still alongside.
Yeah, he does get his car in front though. He's now up the
Yep.
road and off he goes. Back to your leader then. Here
Yep,
he is
coming
for
round the
the
final
end
corner.
of the race. And, well, through the right-hand kink. And this win is all yours, Fraser Elphick. Enjoy it, sir. And here he comes then around.
To take the win.
There he goes. Through past Barney's checkered flag. And Deck Crowther
finish.
getting the P2 finish there. And what a gap there is until we see a Pete Newman cross the line. But Pete did have some incredible pace there, managing to get that drive sorted and get it nailed to come away with the P3
There's a big
overall.
group coming up. I thought looking at the track map, it looked like they were all like right on most of the tail, but they were actually more spread out. I thought we were going to see, like in the previous race, how we saw 4 cars simultaneously finish, but it seems they're a bit more spaced at this time, with there being like some retirements along the way. We do have a pack of 2 or 3 cars coming, but I believe they're a little bit spaced out too, as they all come round one by one. See the flash of the lights across the line. They're probably glad it's over. Glad they survived the Detroit Grand Prix of Belle, Iowa.
Yeah, it's not an easy track to get around at all, as we just wait for the final 2 cars to come across
Yeah,
the
John
line.
Brown unfortunately dropped down after that moment in the tyre wall we saw earlier. He was definitely up there otherwise until then.
As we just wait for
And it
these
looks like Nickerson's still that down as well.
Just waiting for these 2 to come across the line, and we will then bring you your finalised results. There goes Mr. Brown, and here comes Hilton Nickinson, switching all the way back to the front of the grid. Then we'll just bring you your results.
Yeah. Brings an end to race 2.
Here they are. So Fraser Elphick comes away with the P1. Deck Crowther P2. Pete Newman wins his class and finishes P3 overall. Then Cooper Akers, Kev Eilert wins his class in P5 overall, but with that P1 victory for the AMS. Wayne Douglas then P6. Neil Stevenson P7. Kim Andre Bjorklund P8. Connor Pearson P9. Then we have Paddy Faulkner P10, Stuart Gibbons P11, Will Lyon P12, Dan Lewis P13, JB Deju P14, Paul Hurley in the magnificent P15, and then we have Carl Fleet P16, Alan McCain P17 there, and going down the grid we do have John Brown P18, then we have Hilton Nickerson just behind that, Mark Draper, Arthur Thurtle, Fraser Garrity, Chris Barnes, Andrew Lovesey, and Mr. Dan Mould. So they are your finalised positions then, and what a fantastic race we've had here tonight, but things aren't over just yet. We now have the talking to go. So speaking of talking, let's get our first guest, if you like, into the booth with us, and that is Mr. Thurtle. Mr. Thurtle, are you there? Welcome in.
Hello. Yep, I'm here.
Hello. Right.
Welcome in.
So let's get straight to business then. What happened?
Well, what happened is race 1, I won my second ever TCR race. And race 2, I didn't.
Congratulations on race one.
I think that's a good way of putting it. Now, with obviously, let's talk a little bit about the incident because that is a thing that is going to be on a few people's minds here. So, with the incident, what was going through your mind there? Did you see the car you had, which was technically on your outside of that corner? Were you aware that you were still side by side or anything like that? Like, talk us through the moment.
Yeah, I knew we were still side by side, but I knew that I'd left him plenty of room there. He just decided he didn't want to use the room to his left.
Yeah, it was
But once we passed the apex, my car's in front, and I've got my car straight, and he's just decided to stay miles away from the wall for some reason. I'd left him plenty of space, but yeah, he didn't use it, and that was the result of it. If he'd just gone left a little bit, that would have been it. It would have been fine, but yeah, it's probably a sim racing incident where he perhaps didn't, where different people have different fields of view. He perhaps didn't know how much space he had to his left.
Yeah.
But yeah, because everyone has a different point of view, don't they, from their screen or their headset or whatever it is they're racing with.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, race one, a dominant performance. Really did start to pull away from the grid, and let's talk about like the track. Obviously, you were leading the first race. You set an example and a high bar you set as well after that race. And how are you feeling with the track? Obviously, it's a little different to the ones we've been at so far this season. Confident?
I was actually. I don't normally like street circuits, but I only brought this track 3 weeks ago, I think, because I had a GT3 race in a different league that I had here. So yeah, I only brought it 3 weeks ago. I'd done that race, and it's the second time racing around it. But actually, it felt really good in the TCR. I was running the Elantra with a lot lower brake bias than what I would normally, and so I was out of my comfort zone the whole race. But no, it worked. The car was good. It was the first time I've ever just had a lead and not had to battle anyone or anything in a TCR. It was lovely.
Yeah, you had a comfortable drive out there in the lead. Like at first, it looked like Will Lyon was kind of maybe potentially going to catch up, but no, it seemed you just wandered off kind of into the lead and managed that race out front. So fine job you did.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great race overall, and I'm sure one you'll be more than happy with from tonight.
Yeah, over the moon with it. Like I say, it's only the second time I've ever won in a TCR.
Well, obviously, I mentioned about how this track is different from the others we've raced at so far this season. Now, the next one we go to is a little more familiar. We go to Mugello next, and confidence levels with that one, is it higher than here, or is it lower? Like, where are we feeling with that?
Well, I'm not racing. I'm moving on Friday next week. So my rig's actually being dismantled tomorrow evening.
Okay.
Unfortunate.
That was why I was desperate. I was sitting there waiting in the interview room to sort of say me goodbyes, really, for the time being, to all my adoring fans.
Well, you know what? It was a great way to end. I guess we could call it the Alpha Turtle era. Obviously, you'll be moving to someplace new, so I have to start again. But that is a wonderful way to end it with a win. But
Indeed.
I'm going to shut up from here because I'm going to let you say your goodbyes and thank yous to whoever you want to say, and we'll let you end off this little segment for us.
Yeah, cheers. Well, I'd like to thank everyone in SRL. It was SRL that introduced me to league racing, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it since SRL. I've done a few other leagues as well, and I'm now driving for Altitude. And if it wasn't for SRL, that never would have happened because I wouldn't have been doing leagues. Didn't have the confidence, and I'm hoping I should be back. I've got 3 months of doing the house up, and then a baby's due, so. Hopefully 3-4 months I'll be back racing again. You'll see me on track again. I'll just hopefully not too rusty.
I'm sure you won't be, and well, we look forward to seeing you back on track very soon, and we
Indeed.
look forward to seeing the Mini Turtle make his debut or her debut on the track at some point soon as well.
I would love. I'd love to race. I'd love to race with my son when he's old enough. Obviously, I've got to keep going for another sort of 16, 18 years at least, I suppose, for that to happen.
True.
There you go. So keep the practice going now, because we all know what you're secretly practicing for. That demolishing race, that first race where your son comes and joins you, and yeah, I'm sure you're looking forward to that as well.
Slaughter him.
Yeah. I can't wait. I will be there commentating over that one as well. So yeah, look forward to seeing that. But Arthur, thank you very much for obviously all the racing, and appreciate you taking part. And yeah, we look forward to your return in the future.
Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
See you
very
next
soon.
time when you return.
Now, the next person we are going to bring in is Mr. Cooper Akers, and he had a couple of decent races there, and the second race was definitely interesting. So, Mr. Akers, welcome in, sir. How are we doing?
Doing pretty well. That was chaotic
Welcome in.
again, as usual.
It was just a bit. Now, I have to be careful with my words, but it does seem like the American tracks do pose a few more challenges, and I think that there is a slightly higher difficulty in a way, especially with tracks a bit like this one, where things are a bit more closed in. What were your feelings going into this, knowing that this was on the calendar, and coming into today's session? How were you feeling on like the confidence level?
I was confident in my driving. I was just, to use a different phrase, I was shaking in my boots, worrying about how everyone else was gonna go. Like in race 1, I know someone wasn't holding their brakes very well into turn 3, and they were just going left and right across the track, and I just kept getting boxed in, and I lost like all the places I got at the start. Because I had a really good launch, but it was annoying and it caused a 4X, but I don't think it caused any bad damage. It put me in a good spot for race 2. Other than that, though, this has been a really hard track to pass people as well. But that means it's super easy to defend. I never really had the chance because Kev was behind me in race 2. We kind of had a talking to, and it's like, yeah, we're both in good spots for this. Let's not try and screw this up for both of us by racing each other. Let's just bring it home. Needless to say, though, I think a few races this round, I need a new change of pants after getting close to the wall sometimes.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest of things with these cars with their sort of wide body kits on. It's not. I was saying it's not something you kind of used to. You don't mind having like a tire or two on the rumble strips and things like that. But you try and do that here, and it turns out you've got like a whole fender inside the wall. So
Yeah,
there's certainly different limitations you've got to your car that you're not quite used to sort of setting up in a way, and you're not used to trying to keep within the lines a little more than what you would. So just those slight differences mean like massive amounts of change, obviously, for the drivers themselves. But obviously, you didn't find it too difficult judging on your performance in race 2. Obviously, like you said, it's a fantastic result, both for you and Kev. We could kind of tell, obviously, you were trying to just manage the race and just make sure you finish, because there's good quality points for both of you, and everyone would have done exactly the same as you. So a solid race 2 there for you as well. Going into like the next race, obviously we're at Mugello. How do you feel about Mugello? You confident with that track?
no, Mugello is a track I used to do a lot in let me find my tongue real quick. In Assetto Corsa, I used to run it all the time with the Ferrari 2004 when I was on
Very
console,
nice.
but I never really found myself getting a lot of good time out of there because I don't know, it's just not one that clicks for me. I thought about skipping it, but I had to last round because of something I'll mention probably later, maybe, I don't know. But Mugello's hard, and it's just not one I get along with. But hopefully, some of these lads can help me around the track and maybe put up a good race.
It is a nice flowing track. You know, I've watched when the Formula One returned there. They had quite a race and quite a lot of chaos in their own sense. But we'll be interested to see how the TCR cars run around Mugello, I reckon. And yeah, it's one of those tracks that flows nicely if you actually get it. Like if you have the track knowledge and you just get a nice lap in, kind of thing.
Yeah, hopefully we don't repeat what they did in 2020 on the restart.
True.
Sending people into the air like what happened last round or so with Hilton going into the air.
Yeah. That was a wild one you guys had.
It was certainly an interesting situation, but what I'll do is we'll do our normal, and we'll give you the open air to say your thank yous or anything you wish to say, and any shout outs you have before we let you go here tonight.
I want to thank Kev for adjusting the livery a bit, but also he put on a picture of which is why I missed out last week. He put a picture of a family pet on the car because she lived a good life, but she passed away last week, and the family's been hit pretty hard by it. But we're moving on, and yeah, next week hopefully it's a bit stronger.
Oh, fingers crossed, and well, we look forward to seeing you in the next round, and hopefully we can see a nice and pretty well-rounded performance from both you and Kev next time out as well. So we look forward to seeing you then, and yeah, wish you all the best with your practice for Mugello.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good one.
So the next person we are going to bring in here then is going to be Fraser Elphick. Now, Fraser Elphick, welcome in to the booth. How are we doing today?
A little bit hot, a little bit sweaty, but no, that was good fun. Enjoyed that second race a lot.
Yeah, you sounded, to be honest, you sound like the probably the person with the most energy coming into
really?
the booth here tonight. So yeah, a lot of people sounds worn out and everything, but no, you sound high spirits, and sounds like you really enjoyed it out there tonight.
Well, yeah, for sure. The second race. I mean, I messed up my qualifying and for the at the start, so that really put me out of position for the second race. And but no, got lucky with a reverse grid, got the pole, and just had to push though the whole race. That second race, the deck was right on me pretty much until about 2 laps to go, so it was flat out.
Yeah, we did notice Tech got a bit of maybe like a burnout or like a wheel spin kind of on the start that we thought he was going to drop back, but no, he managed to maintain that second, and yeah, I guess he kept you honest throughout that race. Like you said, you were keeping an eye on him in your mirrors. We even see like a nice viewpoint of you guys going around the track right now that yeah, you guys were quite close there up the front in your own little race.
No, there was no letting off at all. It was
yeah.
Playing chicken with the walls and just keep your foot down,
It really is.
Tough out there.
Yeah, we see you getting real close to the wall in that clip that we see actually.
Yeah.
It all looked like good fun, but obviously this track is a lot different to what we normally go around, and well, a track that's a little more familiar for a lot of people is Mugello, which we're at next week. So confidence levels based on that, are you looking forward to it? Is it a track that's quite high up on your your love scale, shall we say?
I'll be honest, I quite like a bit. I like the variety. I like it around here. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it is a different style of driving around here, and you've got it. You can't be pushing it 100% the whole race because you're likely to take damage. So I kind of like that around here. But next week, yeah, it'll be totally different. Longer runoffs. Yeah, so you'll be able to push and take a few more risks. Yeah, be fun.
Yeah, you'll have a bit more breathing space. Like from our broadcast perspective, it looks like you got some nice wide track, but then you go on board and some of those walls look a lot tighter, like a lot more closer.
Yeah,
from that onboard perspective. But yeah, at least at Mugello you have plenty of breathing space. Be back to kind of open track, open fields and things.
Well, we don't.
I'll be doing some practice through the week and hopefully try and get a good result next week as well. I've not had the greatest of starts to the season, so fingers crossed it goes well.
Yeah, hope you can carry a little momentum from Belle to Mugello.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do, and in your practice and in the race sessions as well. But as always, is there anyone you wish to shout out before you depart us here in the booth today?
I think it's we all need to give a bit of a shout out to Dan. I don't think he's had the best of evenings today. He's had a tough one. I think he'll be quite angry, I reckon, at himself and maybe at others. Who knows? But yeah, no. Let's shout out to Dan. Good man.
Good call.
Well, thank you very much, and like I say, I wish you all the best with your practicing, and yeah, look forward to seeing you in next week's race, and yeah, let's enjoy the sunny weather of Mugello.
Cheers, guys, and you guys do a great job as well. I'll be making sure and watching the replay of this race afterwards. So thanks again, guys. Great job.
Cheers. Thank you.
Now, the last person we are going to bring into the booth here tonight with us will be Mr. Kev Arlett. Mr. Arlett, how are we doing, sir?
Oh, bad, sir. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. Now, let's dig straight into it. Dominant performance from you once again, especially race 2, you know, finishing a whopping P5 overall, which is a fantastic result for obviously an AM, which was quite high up because the next AM you had after you was P13, so there's a massive difference there in positionings, and well, not only is that almost a win overall, but that's a win for your class as well, and some massive points considering there's only 5 points between you and Barnes going into this session here tonight.
I didn't realise the gap was that big actually in the second race. I thought it'd be someone a little bit closer, so that's a nice little bonus there. I'll take that and run for the week, especially how challenging this track is.
Yeah, it really is. We were just mentioning that like from our view in the broadcast, it looks like much wider. Like we did see some cars going 3 wide, believe it or not, in some places. But the madmen you guys are out there in some places getting 3 wide around here. But then when you jump on the onboard view, it still looks a lot tighter. Like it's like I made the comment earlier, like in the mirrors comment about the objects in the mirrors are closer than you see. But it's like when you jump on board, the walls and the track are closer than they seem.
It's a real corridor effect around here because
really,
you're trying to watch everyone around you. I mean, me and Cooper, we kind of said at the beginning there, we'll just kind of hold formation. Our pace is the same. We don't need to push each other. We'll pull each other along. But we could just see people falling off the relative behind us, and yeah, so I can imagine there was a lot of carnage going on that we didn't know about. So yeah, I think
there was
a sensible pair between me and Cooper there.
Yeah, you guys managed it well.
It was certainly good race management from you two, but obviously a couple of good results for you yourself, obviously in your class. So you got to be feeling nice and strong heading into Mugello next week.
It's a track I'm not familiar with in these cars at all. I've only ever driven Mugello on a different sim, ironically. So I need to do some serious practice. So it could be a learning curve for me. But hopefully I can find something that keeps me strong. Is the plan anyway.
Well, fingers crossed, and I know there's a few people that are going to get some extra practice in for this one as well. I think this is going to be a big one coming into Mugello, so look forward to seeing what everyone could do in their practice and the racing. But as always, Kev, we'll give you a chance to shout out and thank anyone you wish to do.
Just as usual, everyone putting it on the show, you guys doing the commentary, and everyone else who turned up on track. I believe it was expecting 24, 25 cars to be taking the grid for what is the hardest one. So without obviously drivers, it wasn't the race and the show that it was that we put on tonight. So thanks to everyone.
100%, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week at Mugello, and what a fantastic race that'll be. So hopefully we'll see you there nice and early, and we'll see what you can do.
Absolutely, I'll be there. Cheers, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Well, that rounds off all our interviews then for tonight. And that basically rounds off our evening of racing as well. So, Luke, take the honours and try to sum it up for us as best as you can.
Well, I think in short we can say race 1 was clean and race 2 was very, very chaotic in comparison. That kind of sums that up. But no, we did see a lot of nice racing out there, kind of amidst the action of the walls, I guess. Kind of, I think the walls saw a lot of action too today. And yeah, a lot of guys kept it clean. A lot of guys maybe went for maybe some too heroic brave lunges up the inside and paid the consequences. But yeah, we still had finishers. That's the main takeaway. We didn't end with no one finishing the race. People did still have clean races. People did still finish. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of kind of thought carried over into Mugello, at least some breathing room for next week. That at least although that there's not a sudden wall waiting for them if they run, that they'll be able to at least have a bit of comfortable grass to kind of skim along and maybe at least be able to recover from too, compared to the unforgiving walls of Belle IO today.
Yeah, it's certainly a fantastic night of racing overall, and like I say, it's going to be a little bit different next week out at Mugello, but either way, it's going to be fantastic racing overall. So look forward to seeing you all there very soon, and well, that is going to bring us to the end of tonight. So from me and from Luke as well in the booth, we thank you all for watching, and again, apologies for any broadcast issues, and we'll get those fixed out as soon as possible. But I hope you all have enjoyed the touring car racing we've seen this evening, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Mugello for more of the incredible action. But from us, that'll be it, and we'll see you again very soon.
And we'll see you next